The last surviving prosecutor from the Nuremberg trials has called for the establishment of a tribunal to hold Russian leaders accountable for war crimes in Ukraine. CBS News' Haley Ott spoke to him about the tribunal and the lessons of Nuremberg.
You fought in some of the most significant battles of the Second World War, and then you were tasked with going back to Europe and collecting evidence of some of the atrocities that were carried out by the Nazis. What was that like?
It was horror. It was incredible and indescribable. My job was to get into the concentration camps as they were being liberated. So by the time I got there, the SS was fleeing, the American army was chasing them, and the ground was covered with dead people. Some of them still partly alive, pleading with their eyes for help. All of them looked like they were starving. It was not only an unforgettable experience, it was completely traumatic. And I always have that picture.
How did that motivate you to go on to argue the way that you did at Nuremberg?
Well, it was obviously so horrible that you can't go away from it saying, well, that was a one-time shot. It's been repeated again and again, and it goes on today. As we talk, people are being shot and killed who had nothing to do with the war. So the evils that I sought, Nuremberg sought to correct, are still with us today. And we have begun to build a foundation which is more humane and rational, but we have a lot more to go.
What are the lessons of Nuremberg that the world needs to learn or perhaps is forgotten?
If you have a dispute, you go to the court, you state your case, you have honest and knowledgeable judges. They will rule for you or against you. Even if they ruled against you and it was a bad decision, it's better by far than saying, well, I'm going to kill all the people in your country who had nothing to do with it.
Do you think Vladimir Putin is a war criminal?
Certainly he's a war criminal. You don't have to think much about that.
Do you think he'll face justice?
No, I don't know about that. That's another question. Justice is a big term, for one thing. He's a man who has been elected to office. He has supporters in the country.
Do you think that a Nuremberg-like tribunal should be set up to look at aggression in the context of Russia's invasion of Ukraine?
Certainly, not only in the context of this case, because it would be a very limited court, but to state the principle that you may not commit aggression against a neighboring state or anybody.
If you could change one thing about international law right now to hold Russia to account for its invasion of Ukraine, what would that be?
To enforce the existing law. There's a crime against humanity, which is part of the structure of the International Criminal Court, which does exist already, which is trying cases. And one of the crimes against humanity is murder. And if you engage in activities which scare the hell out of everybody, you don't know who's going to be killed next. That's a crime against humanity. And it should be treated as such, and we have it on the books.
In the case of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the International Criminal Court doesn't have jurisdiction over the crime of aggression. What would you say should be done about that?
Accept aggression as a punishable crime. That's all it's stupid not to. Aggression is the basic punishable crime because it's a direction against another country and its borders and all that. You can't continue to just kill people because you think you got a better idea or a better country or you were there first. You cannot use force to achieve your goals. We ought to recognize humanity should come first, and a more humane and peaceful world should be our goal, not a more powerful. You have to be tolerant, you have to be patient, you have to be persistent. When you get to be 102, you say, I knew a guy 102, and that's what he was preaching. And you know what? He was right.